Hello everyone and welcome to my new video about Shopify. So today I answer the question, is Shopify a good investment? And is Shopify actually an investment that could 10x, perhaps even more within the next 10 years? So first, let's talk about Shopify. So what is Shopify? Well, Shopify started out as a website builder. Quite simply, it was one of the earliest website builder, and it grew, kept growing, and became huge. It became a huge business, as you'll see in my description of the outlook for Shopify. Um, so Shopify's mission is to make commerce better for everyone. And you're like, how could a website builder actually make commerce better for everyone? Well, it's because it's much more than a website builder, of course. Now it's an operating system for selling online. It's an operating system for selling products to crowds around the internet without much work. And it's an alternative to selling on Amazon because most small businesses are faced with the question, what should I do with my business? Should I list it on Amazon and become dependent on Amazon's fulfillment network? And should I be dependent on Amazon perhaps someday taking my ideas and competing against me? Or should I be fully differentiated, have a fully differentiated offering where my customers don't see anything, when my customers don't see that my back end is actually being run by Shopify. All the customers see is my website. They think I'm operating the full website, but I'm actually not. There's actually a bigger website behind my front end of my commerce, and so that's what Shopify does. So let me walk us through some of the mega trends of Shopify. Well, first of all is e-commerce. The penetration of e-commerce is still forecasted to triple within the next few decades. We're about at 1/3 in the US. And it's very likely, in my opinion, that most commerce for physical goods will be done online unless it has some experiential component that can only be provided in face-to-face setting. And so it's also a fallacy to think that you can't provide an experience buying online. You can provide a great experience buying online. So commerce is moving online. Buying stuff online is better and it's cheaper, and that's a mega trend that's here to stay. Then it fits, Shopify fits within the as a service movement, the software as a service movement. You'll see the Shopify backend, the software Shopify grows with you as you grow. So it's a business that kind of has its revenue be a pulse on the economy and be a pulse on commerce in general. And lastly, Shopify really follows the no code to low code movement because most of these e-commerce websites used to be built on pretty bulky systems that only engineers could build and set up. And so you have a lot of businesses that are moving away from these old bulky systems and moving into an easier system, cloud-based, cloud-hosted system that is Shopify. Um, so as they say, Shopify is from small business owners to very large enterprises. Anybody can fit on Shopify. The offering works for both of them. And another thing that they say is if you can dream it, you can sell it with Shopify. Um, the main differentiation that Shopify has compared to all other website builders, and there is a lot. There's Foursquare, there's WordPress, um, there's a lot of website builders that offer these e-commerce offerings, but they don't offer the scalability that Shopify has. Shopify can provide tremendous scalability, and Shopify is actually used by very, very, very major brands, very famous brands. To give you an example, Figs, for example, and Allbirds, they're both publicly traded companies. They're both pretty large businesses, publicly traded companies. So they provide the e-commerce solution for very high performing, lots of sales types of companies. Or like another one is Converse. They provide Converse Japan, Panasonic. They have tremendous customers. Like the customers are very high end. So it's very appealing for a business to go with Shopify because when you start out a business, you can be small and Shopify can follow you along the way and provide you the best features than even the best companies need. And I thought perhaps more interestingly, even Tesla uses Shopify for selling its accessories. It's an accessory store. If you go into the Tesla website and you look at accessories, like you want to buy a keychain or some attachment for your Tesla, they use Shopify. So Shopify is good enough for Tesla, which is a pretty incredible seal of approval for this company. This company can scale with you. So let me move on as to what you're investing. So if you're investing in this company, you're investing in the indirect success of e-commerce done by businesses of all sizes. That's what you're investing in. Let me show you another example of who Shopify runs, what business Shopify runs. So for example, the Kardashians empire, as Spotify call it, the Kardashians empire, and I mean, these Kardashians, they have like 300 million people following them. These are businesses of a tremendous, tremendous size. And guess what they run their business on? They run it on Shopify. This is actually a very interesting video. If you can look it up on YouTube, Shopify is Kylie's cosmetics software secret. Most of these businesses actually use Shopify on the back end. So just like if you want to benefit from, say, streaming and say Netflix or Zoom, you invest in Amazon Web Services because they both have a huge Amazon Web Services bill. Well, the same is true. If you want to profit from many of these private and public businesses that do really well retailing stuff online, you invest in Shopify. Shopify is an option that allows you to grow with them. And the numbers of Shopify are very impressive. They have 175,000 merchants. And this is growing very, very, very fast. And then they can ship products to more than 150 countries. So this is a business that right off the bat is setting itself to be international. And they keep gaining very important brands and very important control. And I've listened to a few conference calls of Shopify, and they always add new major brands. For example, GNC, Converse, New Era. These are not brands that I necessarily know too well, but they are major brands, at least to some segments of the internet. And that's, I think, key to the success of Shopify. So let me move on with Shopify, with some of business models. So the play of Shopify is all about moving from these older systems like WooCommerce, like BigCommerce, like Magento. These are traditional, more coding-based software that businesses have used. And so companies are moving from these legacy systems and they're just choosing to use Shopify because Shopify has low to no code. There's essentially no code. You enter your product, you deal with your finances, your analytics, your marketing, anything that matters. You can just deal with it in one single app. And they even give you a dashboard where you can follow your sales in real time. Actually, there's a famous video that you can find on Twitter where they show the Shopify app when you sell stuff. Like sometimes it doesn't stop just ringing and sells, and just your phone is flooded with notifications because this is an app that can actually scale and really scale to large sizes. So I really like Shopify for that reason. How does Shopify make money? Well, they have subscription costs from $9 a month to $2,000 a month. Again, they follow you as you scale. It can be as small as $9 a month, but as you scale, you have the top tier, which is $2,000 a month. And that's where some of the money is. But to me, when I look at this business, the bigger amount of money is the transaction fees. And they are between 0.5% to 3.5%, depending on different factors, mainly your sales volume and what credit card processor you use. But think about that. This is a fee on the revenue of your customers. Like, this is absolutely amazing as a business. Right now, Shopify is in a growth phase. It's a business that's growing really fast, and so they're reinvesting everything in their growth. But you know, this could go up. These transaction fees could go up. Shopify could increase them. Shopify could one day decide to turn on their profitability and to say, hey, we're going to be profitable here. And then the users of Shopify will really probably decide to stay with Shopify, even if Shopify were to change the pricing structures or change the fees. So that is down the road. But right now, of course, this business is in growth mode and is not thinking about using its economic advantage, but it might at some point, which is great. They also charge for different types of items like point of sales terminals, and there's a few options that they charge. Um, but again, this is a business that thrives on the pulse of e-commerce and that will grow as e-commerce grows. Um, but Shopify is not only interested in online selling. They have other great things going for them, in my opinion. So they have inventory financing, capital advances. That's actually more than $5 billion of their business. And as they see everything that's going on with the small businesses' finances, since they are their main dashboard, they see the sales, they process the sales. They can make a lot of money with financing, and we've seen other fintechs do that. And Shopify is not necessarily a fintech per se, just a fintech segment. We've seen, for example, Square is known to do that. Very, very, very powerful because they have a pulse on the business and they can know whether they can finance the business. Shopify, and this the market does not like as much because the market is very short-term oriented right now. But they are launching their fulfillment network. They started with a fulfillment facility in Atlanta, and they're trying to build a competing network to Amazon down the road. And guess what? Someone has to do it. And who else to do it than Shopify? There is no credible competitor to Amazon at this point, in my opinion. Walmart's e-commerce efforts are not doing so well. Shopify is doing outstandingly well with its growth. And so, of course, today it's very, very tiny and insignificant, but it may become tremendous. So that's an optionality. Shopify point of sale, these are all the point of sale payments, terminals, etc. Then Shopify audiences. Shopify gets to know its customers so well and its customers. And with this data, it allows you to use the data about people who are likely to buy your product and transfer that data to different ad systems and ad platforms and actually target people that are likely to buy your product. Shopify is a firm that is aligned with its customers. They have an incentive for their customers to do really well and to sell ever more. Why? Because they have a transaction fees and because they have a different tier of subscriptions. So they want everybody to, of course, upgrade to the most expensive subscription. And that's how you do it, right? You have to help your customers. So they're very, very customer focused, which I love. What are some of the competitive advantages of Shopify? So first of all, they have very, very, very high switching costs that they impose on their customers. Once a customer is set up with Shopify, it's going to be very, very hard to switch. For the first reason that you've learned how Shopify works, and so you have a working understanding of Shopify. So you've invested all this much time with Shopify. The last thing you want to do is actually move away from Shopify. And the second one is it's hard to switch because if you try to switch from a platform that is so important to your business, and Shopify generates your revenue, it's the main way through which you sell. Imagine the risk you're taking. What if the transition to another e-commerce platform doesn't go well? Businesses are very unlikely to take that risk. Businesses tend to stay because of switching costs, because it's a tremendous risk to move away from Shopify if Shopify has been so instrumental to your success. The network effects, that's a big one. Because Shopify has access to the data of all of its online stores, it learns from these stores, and so there's network effects that are embedded within it. For example, they can learn how to do recommender systems. They can learn how to better set up certain types of website versus other types of websites. These are network effects that over time make Shopify and the Shopify platform better, and the platform for Shopify gets better because as they get more data, they can improve the platform and so on and so on. So it's very hard for competition to reach Spotify. Uh, they have a low cost uh, versus in-house development. So they are a low cost proposition for sellers. If you are a seller who specializes in product and wants to focus on product development, you don't want to have to focus on making a good website. So because all Shopify focuses on is being the best e-commerce website, you as a customer, you can access the best features at a very low cost. For example, Shopify does a lot of development right now with AR, augmented reality, and VR, virtual reality, and features that allow you to put goggles on to see your products, that allow you to see your products in 3D. If you were selling outside of Shopify, there's very little way that you would actually go out and develop something as specific as, say, a VR option to show your product. It doesn't make any sense for you to do that. But it makes a lot of sense for Shopify to do it for 170,000 stores. And so as Shopify develops very specific features for hundreds of thousands of stores, it is able to develop best-in-class features and give those features for a very low cost to subscribers of Shopify versus what it would cost them to actually develop it in-house. And so I think this has a lot of value. And lastly, what I really like about Shopify is that it's the counter positioning to Amazon. If you want to be successful online, if you want to have a very successful retail operation on the internet, it seems to me like we are heading towards a duopoly where Amazon is one clear option. It's the supermarket on the internet where everybody is on a even playing field. And the other solution is actually go at it alone with Shopify, but then your customers have no idea that they're actually using Shopify. The business is invisible to the back end. One last thing that I'll say about the qualitative analysis of Shopify here is I love their long-term focus. If you listen to the call, they are all about becoming a 100-year company. They repeat over and over and over again that they want to have sustainable growth, normalized growth rates that are very high. This stock has been punished recently by the market because it has had tremendous growth during COVID. And now, of course, it's only growing at like 25% because they've grown a little too fast a few years back. And so that is going to normalize, and the business of Shopify is going to keep growing further as we go forward. So they have this long-term focus that I think is outstanding for Shopify. All right, let me move on to the numbers for Shopify. So revenue growth. Revenue growth right now is between 20 and 30%. But it's been 15% for the longest time in the past. And I think for quite a few years, and it keep being around 50%. Don't forget, this is a business that grows both in the online space, but also in the physical space, because we are bringing in new setups. So this is a business also that is gaining more shares as they, for example, take more and more financing away from, say, banks, more and more payments processing away from, say, banks, and more and more shipments from companies like FedEx or USPS. The more they do that, they grow these verticals. Like, of course, there's a lot of competition in growing in scale, in the scale of how many websites you can get, but you can also grow in scope. And so Shopify also grows in scope. Competition. On the surface, when you look at Shopify's competition, it seems like they have a tremendous amount of competition. But when you actually dig deeper and you want a website that has the capabilities that Shopify offers, if you actually dig deeper and break it down to even public companies that use Shopify, you realize that Shopify is the main company if you take e-commerce seriously and you really want to scale. No customer concentration. That's always good. The retention is very high. The net promoter score is almost to 50%, which is something that we want to see. It's typically considered excellent. So a lot of Shopify customers are actually advocates of Shopify, and tell others to go and join Shopify because we like Shopify. And finally, this is a business that's a little sensible to the current macro environment as rates are risen, because obviously a lot of the retail that Shopify does are not must-have products. They tend to be um, more miscellaneous, diverse products that people don't need to have. So there is less recession-proof built into Spotify, but nonetheless a great business. The runway is intact. E-commerce is still growing very, very, very fast in the US and even faster around the world. And customers of Shopify, i.e., small businesses, they seek ease of use. Small businesses do not want to be experts at coding a website. They want to be experts at making products or developing new products. That's what they want to be experts at, or designing new features for their products. That's what small businesses want to do. They don't want to be experts in operating a website. That's why they delegate the operation and running a website to a company like Shopify. So Shopify is doing really well on that. Very, very few growth by acquisition. And the marketing expenses is medium at about 45% of revenue. Keeping in mind that a company like Shopify, when they spend to acquire to acquire customers, that spend is actually going to be recurring. So it's still a little higher than I'd like to see, but it's okay to spend because you're not spending to acquire a one-time buy or one-time purchase. You are spending to acquire a recurring customers who will hopefully be here with you for a lifetime, hopefully. So that's the idea behind advertising. Let me move on. What are some of my preferred profitability metrics? Shopify is very, very, very inexpensive right now, as it is trading at a 16 price over gross margin, and it is trading gross margin after marketing, which is a modification that I like to do because marketing expense is always spent. It's trading at just under 30. So again, the price here for Shopify is the longest that it's been in such a long time, because this is a business that is likely going to grow at a 50% clip again as soon as we move away from those tough comps. I don't focus as much on operating and net margins because I do believe businesses need to grow, and as this firm scales, operating profit and net margin, they will obviously show up as the firm scales. It's a firm that's free cash flow positive, and they have more than enough cash on the balance sheet at about 5 billion, but they are free cash flow positive, so bankruptcy is not a concern. They also have a tremendously low amount of debt. This is very, very low debt at a long-term debt to equity of 0.01. So this is an anti-fragile company. This is a company that will not go bankrupt because they just have almost no debt, essentially no debt. Dilution has been high in the past. 3 years ago, dilution was particularly high, but today it has slowed. And so we are okay with this dilution. This dilution is not anything like the US dollar and the speed of growth of the US dollar. I love the insider ownership. There is very high insider ownership, and the business is still founder-led. Lastly, revenue per employee is very high at $524,000. This is good. That means the employees are very, very productive. In conclusion, I really don't understand why Shopify has been punished this much. You can buy Shopify today for about the same price that you could in August 2019. Yet there has been nothing but growth. Not only there's been nothing but growth, but 2020 and 2021 were outstanding year with outstanding growth. So it's really, really hard to understand why a business would trade at such a level. The market is very, very, very short term right now, very short term oriented. And just because Shopify has tough comps, they are willing to discount the stock to the best price that it's been in many, many years. As you can see in the price to sales ratio, it's currently 8 times sales for a business that is setting itself to be part of a duopoly in online retail, in my opinion. So I think the business is very inexpensive. Value of dollar over the next 10 years, the dollar is going to be devaluing itself. That's the topic of this channel. Beat the denominator. They print ever more dollars. And I anticipate that the dollar will be diluted about 15% a year going forward, if you include both the euro dollar and the growth in broad money supply, money being created by banks. And so what does that mean? Well, that means that $1 today is still worth $1 today, but with inflation, $1 today, $1 in 2027 with inflation will be more like 50 cents of today. And $1 in 2032 will be worth the equivalent of 25 cents of today. So in 10 years, we can expect the dollar to buy you 4 times less than it does today. It will buy you 4 times less based on monetary inflation. So what does that mean? With a market cap of $43 billion right now, can we see it 10x? That's 430 billion, 430 billion. That's very high, you would think. That's a very, very high market cap for a company like that. Well, it's not that high for two reasons. First of all, this is a company that could be competing with Amazon's online retail segment. And so Amazon's valuation right now does not give any value for its retail business. I mean, it's as if you were buying Amazon right now and you get the retail business for free. But in normal times, I easily see the market in normal times valuing Amazon's retail business at about 400 to 500 billion dollars. And so a 10x is not far-fetched for a company, Shopify, that grows much faster than Amazon. But it is even less far-fetched if you adjust for the dilution of the dollar, because 430 billion in 2032 would equal 107 billion of today. And then it doesn't look as insane to say that this company could 10x if you look at it in nominal terms, which is what usually people look at. So I think this business has a tremendous potential. I am buying Shopify. I've been buying Shopify for a while. This is not investment advice and will never ever be investment advice. But I think this is a great company, and I'm happy to buy at these prices, and I will keep buying. Not investment advice, of course. Thank you so much for watching my video on Shopify. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much.